Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. This is DSP News, the unreliable ones. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the newsroom and welcome to the Goutopia News Network, your unreliable source for DSP News. This is the Snort Report. Let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here with one of our favorites, Snort Burnell, Dspgaming. And let's see what we got here. Shouts out to Tevin and producing Salt. Now, ladies and gentlemen, at this particular point, Phil has been a bit prickly, for a pig. Very, very prickly. I can give you guys a couple of really bad examples because that's what I do here, but almost like the audio quality when I'm in charge. But the best example I think I'm going to give you is it's like when you cook bacon on the stove and the bacon starts to bite back at you and starts slinging grease at you. It's like that. It's annoying and whatnot. It's a bit annoying, but at the end it'll probably be worthwhile. For Phil, it's not. Ladies and gentlemen, over the last, during what he would consider his victory lap with Pro Jared, don't worry, that broadcast is coming, he's been trying to exonerate himself, but at the same time, though, too, he's letting people kind of prick at him as it pertains to Tevin. Now, I've had a bunch of different conversations with a bunch of different great people about what actually causes his hatred for Tevin. And he does hate Tevin. He's actually publicly come out and said that. Now he's trying to walk that back, but that's what cowards do. Here's the thing. If you've been watching Tevin as long as I have, you know that from Jump Street, Tevin gave him great advice. And Tevin legitimately wanted to see him do well. And all that shit was ignored. While Phil focused on larger targets, to be honest, at that time. SOK, Evil AJ, so on and so forth. And we all saw how the Evil AJ thing ended up going. Phil completely lost that, as he should have. But to say stupid shit like, I don't understand what the deal is with this guy, I don't know what he may do next. He might show up to this is back when he was in Connecticut. He might show up to my condo and try to murder me, which was one of the dumbest things that Phil ever said. But that's Phil, he says stupid shit. And then, his back and forth with the SOK, which it wasn't even back and forth. He kind of just kept rolling over and taking the L. It is what it was. And he wouldn't even name them and whatnot. And if these people are supposedly ruining your lives and they're supposedly screwing your business over, you would think you'd want to clap. But Phil never did. Wouldn't even give them a knee slap, sorry, for all that stuff. But at the same time, Tevin was a player too. If nothing else, Tevin wasn't a competitor. He was actually a contender. He was actually his name was in the runnings. And it's very obvious that Phil knew who Tevin was. And Tevin said in one of his really old videos, like 3 or 4 years back, that he actually had a brief conversation with him. Not actually verbal, it was probably like an email exchange or something. And then he just stopped talking to him. So it's very obvious that Phil recognized this individual for who he was and what he was bringing to the table. And either A, he wasn't able to manipulate Tevin the way he thought he should have been able to manipulate him, or B, he was like, well, you know what, you're not that big of a threat to me, so I can just ignore you. Now all of a sudden, you fast forward 3 or 4 years later, now all of a sudden, Tevin's king. You know what I'm saying? Praise be Almighty. And he can't afford not to ignore him. And you got the dude deplatformed when all he was doing was restreaming your content. Now, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of people will say, oh, well, that's the reason why Phil doesn't like him anyway, because he's restreaming his content. No. Dude, we all make videos on his content, whether it's being streamed or recorded. Who cares? The viewership was dwindling over there anyway. So what's the difference? And so when Phil says things like, oh, that, because I just saw it in a Memology video this morning, actually. He was like, oh, all those views that Tevin has over there, those are my views. Those are mine. That's my viewership. He stole that from me. And then in the next sentence, he's like, but then again, those are just people who want to come over here, be toxic and be negative, and I don't need that bullshit here anyway. So I was just going to toss them out or ban them anyway. It is what it is, man. We want a nice, safe environment here. And then in the last sentence, but you're right though, that is my viewership. No, it's not. No, it's not. First off, those people probably weren't going to give you any money, which is all you really care about. So let's go ahead and get that out the way right now. So you weren't going to make any money off them. You were going to ban them anyway if they talk about anything that you don't understand, you don't know about, or considered off topic. The topic of the day, ladies and gentlemen, every day over there in North Goutopia for Phil, is him. Or helping him. Or praising him. Which is what... Damn it, I just let the cat out of the bag. But whatever, you know what I mean? And if you were going to expel them anyway, then they were going to go somewhere else to watch it. If it wasn't going to be Tevin, it was going to be someone else who was going to eventually fill that void of restreaming you. And then eventually, you know, more people were going to pick up. Look at it now. Now, obviously, Tevin wasn't going to be able to do that on Twitch forever. He already knows that. He ended up catching an infraction for that, and so on and so forth. And then, so on as, you know, and then he ended up doing it on YouTube, which gave him way more exposure anyway. But yet, he was still building a very steady audience over there on Twitch at the time. And yet, you still were able to get him deplatformed for some reason. And if you guys haven't been keeping up, I think he still calls himself They Call Me Tex on Twitter. He actually put up a post where he had tried an experiment to see if he could get himself and Bill Purnell back on Twitch. He tried to appeal his sentence, and they wouldn't let neither one of these individuals back on because of how their names are, on how their names were structured. This is how petty Phil is, that he won't let these two individuals back on because what their screen names are. Are you fucking serious? And here's the thing that's even more petty. Twitch is okay with that. Twitch is okay with that. Have you seen some of the Twitch names that are out there? But since it's offensive to Phil, all of a sudden, oh, well, you know, we got to protect the piggy and we got to protect the pig pen. It's insane. I remember reading that on Twitter and I was like, nah, that can't be real. That's a fucking joke. But that's what really happened. That's what really happened. It's the craziest shit ever. And I think it said, don't quote me, but I think it said that they can both remake their accounts. They just can't use those names. So getting back on apparently is not a big deal. It's not like an IP ban, but they don't want to change their names, or at least I wouldn't think they'd want to. But that's what we're doing now, Twitch? We're sitting here banning people over names? Either case, I'm just trying to give you guys an example of how petty Phil is and the shit that he's doing behind the scenes. And it's a small part of a much larger picture on the war, if you will, that Phil has been trying to wage for nothing. He's going to lose Twitch regardless. And like I said, the top guy, you know what I mean, in the community has been trying to give you good advice for basically the span of his career, and you completely ignored it. But yet, for whatever reason, you can't let it go. And I understand, like I said earlier, oh, it's because he restreams his content, this, that, and the third. Nah, it's a bit more deep-seated than that, my dude. It's way more deep-seated. You know what I'm saying? Whether it could be a bunch of things. We've gone over that. Whether it's race, whether it's whatever. It could be a bunch of things. But it's very obvious that there's something about Tevin that touches Phil to the core, and he can't shake it. And keep in mind, we're talking about Phil, the same dude who made a video saying that Tevin hurt him. Tevin hurt him. And went on a rant about that. I wish I should have actually grabbed that video. Well, I've actually gone over that video. Yeah, I've already gone over it. So this is what the relationship is. You had one individual, like a lot of people over there on Phil's side, and I'll never understand it, who wanted to try to help Phil, who saw some type of redeemable qualities. And if they don't get shut out, they become enemies. All in Phil's own making. Phil's the one that cultivated all this. And for what? And for what? What was it all worth? Just like back in Halloween of 2018. It's Tevin's fault. And he really thought people were going to rally to him. And then you decide to threaten the guy too and say, oh, well, you know, you're going to get karma's coming, and whatever you do is going to come back on you, so on and so forth. You still lost that exchange, Phil. Ever since you deplatformed Tevin, he's basically been beating you in all categories. He beats you in viewer numbers, he beats you in donations, he beats you in praise, which is what I think, or at least it's one of the things that I think Phil really wants. When he looks at Tevin, and he looks at his streams, and he looks at his viewership, and he looks at his fan base, it's all the things that Phil wants. Even in Phil's decline, he feels if Tevin wasn't there, that would all come back to me, which is the most retarded shit that I would ever think anybody could come up with. I'm sorry, but it's absolutely stupid. It's absolutely ignorant to believe that. If those people loved you so much, why aren't they over there now? If the people that are over there on your streams right now, Phil, care about you so goddamn much, then why aren't each one of them at least donating $1 to you? Phil has somewhere between 300 and 500 people on stream almost daily. Almost. And yet you can't even get $1 out of each one of them. I've watched morning streams where you've only gotten like about $30. I've watched Lightside Bill and Dark Dave streams where you didn't even break 50. But I thought they loved you so goddamn much. That's why they're all there, right? Or is it really true that they all have a tab open watching Tevin stream? Kind of like what Swaggins was doing. Or maybe, just maybe, Phil, when you're checking your phone sometimes, you're checking over there and seeing what Tevin's numbers look like when you stream. And I say that because it's obvious that Phil checks his phone rather frequently. But if you pay attention to when Tevin's streaming, he checks his phone way more frequently. And I've noticed this compared to like when Lightside Bill, for example, or LSB, when he's streaming and whatnot, and Tevin's not streaming at all, you know, Phil checks his phone every once in a while and then puts it down and he tries to stay focused on the game. But if Tevin is streaming, Phil checks his phone way more frequent. He might have cut back on that because people are starting to notice, but that's my thought. And the thing is what is he checking his phone for? He knows what exactly, allegedly, he knows what time Kat goes to work and comes out of work. So what are you texting her for? Outside of big donations that require you to cross-reference that with PayPal, can't remember the last time that happened. And what, alleged emails of spam? Or appeals to be unbanned, which you've ignored anyway. You've admitted that. What exactly are you checking? Any case, sorry. Looks like we're gonna have sweet and salty bacon today. Ladies and gentlemen, that right there is my, I guess my opening statement as it pertains to the situation. Let's go ahead and get into it proper, because you've heard me rant on long enough. And there are more rants to come, I'm sure. Ladies and gentlemen, hope your day is going well. Let's go ahead and get into the broadcast proper. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Snort Report, and this is DSP News, always late, never breaking, unreliable coverage that you can't count on. A GTG Network Productions. You guys all know the slogan. I don't smell no bacon cooking yet. Well, actually, theoretically, I've cooked 2 batches of bacon. It's time to go ahead and start on the 3rd. It is time to watch me work.
Play the game! Oh my god! What the fuck?
Holy shit! That is an epic fucking intro, dude. And I have to warn everyone. Warning. What you may see right now is going to be absolutely disgusting. Sound good?
Alright, sounds good to me.
Alright, I think we're...
Alright, ladies and gentlemen. Excuse me. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are here with one of our favorites, Snort Burnell, Dspgaming. Shouts out to Tevin and producing that salt. Okay, let me stop acting like I feel like I can't pronounce golf or frog right. Let's go.
$16 in tips now. There we go. I think Vegan for Life stuff came through. Like I said, Vegan for Life, I'm not going to address anything to do with haters today. I'm just not doing it. I'm not going to...
Alright, wait a second. That's another thing I want to point out to you guys. Another thing I want to point out. It was supposed to be in my opening rant. So, when Phil... If you guys see Phil now, right? And you see all these dwindling, like numbers as it pertains to cheers, subs, and bits and shit like that. Okay, like 2 years ago, in 2017, his eyes wouldn't even flutter at $16 because he would get big donations in on the regular. He wouldn't even flutter at that stuff. Wouldn't even care. He'd just be like, oh, okay, cool, and then just keep it moving. Now he's literally grasping at everything that his little hooves can get his hands on. This is a fall. This is a big fall. When he can get, a 50-bit cheer, and it starts to brighten his day up, because the first stream was very slow, and all it takes is 50 cents or so to start perking him back up. Coins, change is what cheers this man up and drives him forward every day. We're not even going after dollars no more. He's so desperate that he'll just take whatever he can get. When back in the day, he would make fun of people who only gave him, who gave him small cheers and whatnot. He would do it offhandedly, obviously, but you know what I mean? Holy shit. And he thinks he can do this for 10 more years. He thinks he has 10 or 15 more years left in him. Holy shit. Shit, by then, Kat would be one of my future ex-wives by that point. What the fuck? Oh, so amazing. Alright, let's continue.
They want. If I were to address that tonight, the guy would be like, yes, I'm not doing it.
Oh my god, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my god, no, we gotta stop the stream. I just received a $1 tip from an anonymous tipper, and they just informed me that almighty Tevin, shout outs, is watching my stream right.
Look at that face. Look at that face. That right there's enough to curdle bacon. Curdle milk. Jesus Christ. And look how much time he's devoting to this. At least he has his wedding ring on this time. But look how much time he's devoting to this. So sad. And he wonders why he's constantly losing the fight. Praise be. Praise be.
Now and talking crap about me. Ah!
Ah! Who cares?
You know what the sad part is? That's probably the most exercise he had all day. If not, probably all week.
Who gives a shit? Oh my god, like anyone gives a flaming fuck about that loser.
Over 1,800 milligrams of sodium. 1,800 milligrams of sodium. Oh, what's Tevin's Twitch? It's called Banned. That's the name of his Twitch. Twitch.tv/ban the fuck from this website.
Now, let me talk about that a little bit, because I did touch on that slightly early on. So, about Tevin's Twitch being banned, right? So Phil said in that 7 years of slander that, someone had asked him, hey, were you responsible for getting almighty Tevin kicked off Twitch? And he said, no, I had nothing to do with that. I had nothing to do with that at all. He pissed off the wrong people, right? He pissed off the wrong people, and it just came back on him. You know what I mean? That's what happened. This, that, and the third. If you think about it, though, back at that time, what was Tevin doing? He had stopped restreaming Phil, at least on Twitch, and he was just doing his gaming stuff. That was it. He wasn't rebroadcasting anybody else. Kekken wasn't even a thought. Master Saru, I think that's the guy who does the Negi stuff. That wasn't even brought up yet. Who was it that he pissed off? Oh, Sidella? Oh, because he ran around calling all black people North American apes? Was it Sidella that was mad? Give me some context to that. Anybody out there in the audience can name anybody else who might have had beef with Tevin at that time to get him kicked off? Nah, I didn't think so. So obviously the only culprit was Phil. And I think what happened was Phil, and as we've already talked about, a half true is a lie. But I think what happened was Phil tried to get a bunch of people to go and actually report Tevin. When that didn't work, he had to step in. He had to do it himself, because a partner can get you bopped, especially if you're not even an affiliate. I don't know if Tevin was an affiliate at the time. I don't know. I don't think so. Not yet. I know he was working his way towards it. Same thing with Bill, with Bill Purnell and Tex. They were working their way towards affiliates before partnerships. But I don't know if any of those guys were affiliates at the time. Which, if that was the case, that would have made it even easier. And that's another thing, too, that Twitch has. That if you are trying to apply to be an affiliate, if you have, well, for some people more than others, obviously. But if you have actually some reports against you, even if they've been already dismissed, that can actually help negate you getting closer and closer to being an affiliate and then being partnered. It's a crazy type of hug box mentality over there on Twitch. But what are you gonna do? But like I said, the point is that he recently came out and said he had nothing to do with that. That was other people, so on and so forth. But then again, if you guys remember, that whole stream was everything I did wasn't my fault. It was these people's fault. So it was really no different. It all kind of coincided with each other. But eventually, he's going to come out and admit that he did it. His ego is going to get the best of him. Because what does he have to lose at this point? Think about it. When Phil has his back against the wall is when he starts spilling. He has nothing to lose by coming out and admitting that, yes, I was the one that had those guys taken out. He might as well go ahead and put that on his imaginary wall with the rest of those trophies, right next to the 4th place finish at EVO. He might as well put it up there. He's got nothing else to lose. We all know he did it. So what's he scared of? Oh, he doesn't want to be labeled. See, this fuck it, I'll let it go. He doesn't want to get hit with the Susie Lou type situation. Just in case you don't know who this chick is. She, Memology covered her as well as some others. She basically flagged a video that had like 30 seconds of footage basically making fun of her spurging out over some fucking VR game or some shit. It was like 30 seconds. It might have been only 15. Whatever. And what she did was she broke almost like an unspoken rule about content creators shouldn't be flagging each other, especially not over petty shit like that. She broke a rule, and then her and her cuck boyfriend went on and did this whole campaign, and the point is they lost. Well, the thing is on Twitch, that's looked down upon too, especially if it leads to people getting banned. And Phil knows that because he follows people on Twitter. So he doesn't want that coming out that, oh, I had these people banned over silly shit. Because then the overall community is going to look at him like, oh, well, get this, what the fuck's wrong with this fuckboy? Now, granted, that's not going to stop Phil from doing what he's doing, but Phil's trying to, air quotes, clean up his image. So if that ever came out, obviously, he's going to have some problems. It's definitely not going to look very good. And he's not really strong enough to have another hate campaign come at him on Twitter. And at the time that I'm recording this, he's taking shots at Jared again. He's going back to the well on pro Jared, trying to get a piece of him to try to basically inflate himself. Which it didn't work the first time. Why would it work now? And there are already people on Twitter calling him out over it. So he can't really afford another scandal. Now, don't get me wrong. I still hold to my original point that he has nothing to lose by coming out and just admitting that he had those 3 guys deplatformed. He might as well. As it pertains to Twitch, he has nothing to lose. On Twitter is going to be a different story. But that's just my opinion, of course. DSP News.
I'm a loser. That's the name of his Twitch.
Oh, silly putty! Oh, silly putty! Oh, you slapper joke! Silly putty! Silly putty! Silly putty!
And then your people, Phil's a toxic streamer. No, you tried to make me look like that.
Here's some hilarious stuff, guys. You ready? He is better than you. Tip me $1 and says, you can talk crap about Tevin all you want, but you give away a $100 gift card and you only give away empty game boxes. Oh, so let's forget the fact that I gave away a PlayStation 4 at launch, that I gave away ridiculous amounts of video games over the years, that I gave away all kinds of collectibles, that I gave away game codes, that I gave away Xbox Live passes, you know.
Alright, let's break some of that down. So, the PS4 being given away, right? That PS4 was given away because Panda didn't want it. Now, for whatever reason why Panda didn't want a free PS4, I'll never know. But that's the reason why he gave that away. Why Phil's dumbass didn't just keep it in the closet with those Gunner glasses that he needs so badly, and just so he has a backup, I'll never know. But that's the situation with that. As for game codes, right? Okay. Game codes, maybe he did, maybe he didn't. Don't know. As for the Xbox Live codes, he did that when Xbox Live was down. It was down for like a day, I think, and he had a bunch of 2 or 3 day passes, and he gave them away on stream. knowing that the moment that they're activated, they would essentially be useless by the time they came back on, Xbox Network came back on. Or they would at least lost a day on it. So there's a situation on that. And the reason why, and most of you guys are like, oh, what do you mean? What do you mean? Because he read the code off live on stream, the moment anybody gets it, you have to put it in and activate it. Because if not, someone else is going to. The moment you activate it, clock's ticking. And he did it on purpose. He did it for his own amusement. Because he knew that, oh, it was useless and he couldn't do anything with it. Plus, he already had a paid subscription. And as for the game boxes, well, let's see what he has to say about that before I break that down.
Thousands and thousands of dollars of stuff that I gave away, but because one time ever I gave away an empty game box, somehow that becomes synonymous. It's the only thing I ever gave away. All you've done is proving you're a...
Stop. Okay, so he's given away multiple collectible game boxes. At least, shit, I'm going to say at least 4 or 5. Because I think he gave away one from Mass Effect. I think he gave one away from Skyrim, sorry. There's at least 2 or 3 others that I remember seeing recently, or I've seen in the last couple months. He's given away a bunch. It wasn't just one time. I don't know why he tries to negate all that to a single instance that this all happened, because that's not true. And like I said, all the videos are still on your channel, dumbass. Panda Lee was in a couple of them. Last time I checked, a couple was more than one. So, yet again. It's futile doing this. I don't understand why he continues to do this to himself. It's absolutely futile. And then, the very people, like I said earlier in this broadcast, these very people that are supposed to be his viewership, if they question him like this, all he's going to do is talk down to them and eventually ban them. So how is it really his viewership? He can't keep it. And if you can't keep it, then you have no right to have it. Sorry. Oh, so good.
Fucking moron.
Basically the stream was very toxic. Every single day he comes in, he's toxic.
Because you ignore 11 years of facts to focus in on one instance to make a joke. By the way, the empty game box I gave away was all the collector's edition content of Deus Ex Human Revolution with my autograph
on it. Oh yeah,
and
Deus Ex. Deus Ex. There you go. Thank you, Phil. Now all we need is one more.
Because people wanted it, and hundreds of people signed up to try to win that because they wanted a nice collectible with my autograph on it.
My autograph alone, to some people, is worth more than anything that Tevin will ever do in his entire fucking life. So choke on that, bitch.
Wow, you're gonna say that your signature is worth more than another man's life? Jesus Christ, are you trying to have him publicly executed? Are you the ward? Are you like the warden of a prison or some shit? You'd be a terrible warden, by the way. Anyway, for one, wasn't he putting signatures? Now I'm kind of shaky on my DSP lore when it comes around this, but wasn't he actually putting his signatures on like business cards? And why the fuck does Darkside Phil have a business card? And now that I think about it, Phil, because I want to point this out. Since you run a business, right, Phil? Why did you never think about opening an LLC? Seriously? And then you could have used that. You could have used that business credit to like operate the business. Especially with the income that you had in banks back in those days, even now, really, would throw shower money at you on a regular basis. Did no one ever really tell you about that? Now, keep in mind, Phil, I think this whole situation about what you do being a business is a farce anyway. So that's kind of a moot point. But, you know, being that you did go to school and you do have a business degree, you never thought about opening an LLC? At all? No? Not at all? That's absolutely shameful. Well, alright. I just thought I'd throw that out there, buddy. For the greater good, I guess.
Oh my god! That was great! Oh my god!
How much do I charge for an autograph? I don't charge for an autograph. My autograph is free. I don't think that anyone should even care about my autograph. But like I said, for some people, just having something with my name on it...
You just said that you don't, that no one should even care about your autograph, despite the fact that your fans who are loyal to you have told you, or at least implied, that your signature is worth more than anything that Tevin will do in his entire life. Tevin could go on to cure cancer one day. The cancer that probably slowly but surely going to end up killing you. But your autograph is worth more than that. Phil, you're what, 37? And what's Tevin? Tevin's like in his 20s? It's like in his like mid-20s, I think? So like, who has more time on their hands? Well, statistically speaking. Yeah, statistically speaking, Tevin should still outlive you, theoretically. Theoretically. Outside of some unforeseen circumstances, he should theoretically outlive him. Yeah, theoretically, Tevin should still outlive him no matter what, actually. God forbid anything happens to either one of these individuals, but theoretically, Tevin should still outlive him. Anyway, the thing is, Phil, is your time is come and gone. Like, you're almost 40. And I'm not saying that at 40 you can't do something different. There are plenty of people who are 40 or even 50 who change careers, who pick up other things, who do things. You don't. You're almost 40 and you've done nothing for 11 years. To be honest. If you sent your resume to HR, they would be like, there's nothing here. The last bit of the last point of employment he had was like 11 years ago. Let's go ahead and bring you down another step, because now I'm giving you way too much credit with that. Because your degree at this point is kind of worthless. So if you were to fill out an application, they would look at it and be like, okay, so you basically have no work experience. Basically. Because you have a 10 plus year gap on your resume, on your application, whatever the case may be, and there's nothing there. It's literally dead air. And what are you going to do? Lean in, manual snort, and be like, oh, well, I was a YouTuber and I made all this, that, and the third. No one wants to hear about that. How does that apply to the job that you're applying for? Show me what your qualifications are. Give me a reason why I should give you this job over the, I don't know, 30 or 40 people that are right over there who are literally 20 years your junior and have way more qualifications than you. See what the problem is there, Pumpkin? See how that's going to be a pretty bad situation for you? But yet, you're sitting here fighting with dudes on YouTube. Online in general. When in actuality, most of these guys' body of work online will outlast even your own. But this is what you feel is a worthy fight. This is what you feel like wasting your time doing. And the thing is you've been doing it for so long that it would be almost implied you'd be good at it. Maybe not great, not excellent, not the top in your field, but you would at least be good at it. I mean, you take this shit so seriously, you care so much, it would almost lead people to think that you would actually have some talent. Or at least develop some skills. I don't know. Maybe I'm asking for too much. Dspnews?
So valuable because I've made so much content, and a lot of people tell me all the time I've been a part of their lives for so long, free entertainment, that they would love that. You know, that's what that was. That empty game box wasn't about giving away an empty game box. It was about getting all the collector's edition content from a game that you had to pay extra money to get with my autograph on it. That's why people wanted it. Hundreds of people signed up for that. So. Oh wow, that's how we're gonna justify it? Because this guy right here with his fucking face was part of their lives for so long. That they were all basically chomping at the bit to have a piece of Dark Side Phil in their life. Like a physical piece, I should say. Really? Really? Alright, Phil.
Someone claims...
If that's the case, Phil, sorry. I don't mean to be an asshole. I'm lying. I do mean to be an asshole. If that's the case, Phil, then why couldn't you get those statues sold? Just out of curiosity. If that was the case, Phil, why couldn't you get those arcade sticks sold? If that was the case, Phil, why couldn't you get all of those? Why couldn't you get all of those empty video game boxes given away? If that was the case, Phil, why is your Patreon? Why'd you only set your Patreon at like? Well, I think his Patreon was originally at like 1,500. I think. I remember someone telling me that they saw it at 2,000 at one time, but I think it was really at like 1,500. I don't know. I could be wrong. But why isn't it that why aren't those people that are part of that tell you all the time that you are part of their lives? Why isn't it the case, I should say, I'm sorry, that your Patreon's not maxed out at all times? Just saying. This is for the YouTube audience, right? This is the one that's been with you for 10 plus years. This is where you made your name at. These are where these people know you. Twitch doesn't even matter at this point. Just YouTube. And your Patreon is directly associated with your YouTube. I've told this to you before. So if that's the only place that these guys can actually donate to you, can contribute to you, then why don't they? It's almost like, Phil, that these people that supposedly love you so much, you've already driven all of them off. It's almost like, Phil, that these people who said they liked your content, you ended up flipping it and made yourself believe that they actually love you and your content. Or maybe they just loved your content. That doesn't necessarily mean they love you. Just because your mom and dad have no choice but to say that shit to you doesn't mean anybody else does. Just saying.
Give me $1. Someone has a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week stream of my YouTube incident on repeat, and there's 34 people watching and growing. Fine. Let it be 1 million people. I don't care. That's something that's so old at this point. It's over 3 years ago. It's something I fessed up to. It's something that, you know, is it silly and ridiculous? Yes. But it happened, and I've been past it for so long. Who gives a shit, right?
Jackie Spurs says, do you think that's why the dude you mentioned earlier streams your stuff to get clout? Well, that's how it originally got noticed, and now, of course, now he has a following because he does it so much, he gets a following. Now, here's the thing. If this guy would just do his own content and get popular off of it, I don't care. But the fact is
he was doing his own content. He stopped restreaming you, and he was doing his own content on Twitch, and you still haven't taken down. So give me your excuse now.
He made a name on me. He literally needs me as a crutch. When he does his own stuff, sometimes he gets attention, sometimes he doesn't. But when he's...
How do you know that? First off and foremost, that sometimes he gets attention when he puts his own stuff out and sometimes he don't. So how closely are you watching Tevin? I'm starting to get a little concerned now.
All of a sudden he gets a boost in views. So he needs me to be successful. I would love it if this guy would go off and do his own shit and be successful. I would be happy for him if he went off.
Since when have you ever been happy for anybody that's not yourself? And more importantly than that, it's almost a it's actually kind of a symbiotic type of relationship. You need Tevin. Holy shit. You need Tevin as much as he allegedly needs you. Tevin rebroadcasts your stuff because he makes it accessible to people who either don't want to go over there and watch you, or those who can't because they've been banned and don't want to make sock accounts out of sock accounts. He's providing a service, if you think about it, at his own expense, because he could be off doing fun stuff. And maybe you didn't realize it, but maybe having a couple of hundred people and growing is better than having a few thousand people who are going to show up just to shit on you. He's providing a service at his own expense. I know you've never looked at it that way, but you should. And the funny thing is what actually drives the content? Does Tevin drive your content, or do the people who are willing to come out and watch Tevin drive that content? So you're blaming Tevin because, oh, he restreams my stuff and he's fucking me over. But what about the people who constantly come out to watch Tevin? Do they not get any blame in that situation? Because if that was the case, and wouldn't they not just go and watch you? Which they don't, unless it's drama, and even then it's much more entertaining to go to somebody else. And then on top of that, that market for restreaming you, there are plenty of other people who do it also. So are you going to blame Tevin for starting that market? I don't know if he was the first person to do it or not, but are you going to blame him for not starting it, but establishing that market? Are you going to blame him for that? And if so, are you not the driving force behind other people restreaming? You keep pushing all these people away and the numbers built up. So when someone else was willing to do it, or if he was even asked to do it, I don't know. Then all of a sudden, that's how things got established and that's how the ball got rolling. So you still don't see how you are at the core of all that. Still don't see it. You probably have never even thought about it that way, have you, Phil? Oh my. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, he's playing on a level that we all practice on.
Was successful. That would prove that he has talent, and he has charisma, and he has something going for his own. But he doesn't do that. He always goes back to the old tried and true, make fun of Phil, because this is what makes bank for me, and this is what's guaranteed to work, because you need me. You need me as your component for success. You can't do it on your own, then you're not successful at all. And the only reason you exist is because YouTube allows you to do immoral, illegal things. Twitch does not. And that's why you're not here anymore.
And then basically,
and yet he's still succeeding. Because he wants to Phil likes to hold on to this thing about he's no longer on Twitch, he's no longer on Twitch. And for good reason, to an extent, because Tevin really liked Twitch. And he was growing very well over there. You know what I mean? He spent a lot of time, he really worked at it. So that's why that's why Phil keeps jabbing at it. But on YouTube, he doesn't have to work at it at all, he still beats you. How does that make you feel, Phil? To know that you were able to get someone deplatformed, they go back to YouTube, and not even trying, they still beat you every single time. And then you want to talk about talent, charisma, all the things that you don't have. People were calling you a hack from Jump Street. Just because you were able to convince all these people or all these children of special needs that you were important or special is one thing, which is egregious in itself, to be honest. But whatever, we'll touch on that another day. We'll address that another day. But for you to convince all these people that you were something more than what you were is all on you. And when they all grew up, it all fell apart. And I still don't necessarily understand all that, despite the fact I've had the honor of speaking to some of them. And they were generally all really nice people. They may have been toxic pieces of shit when they were over there with you, but they were generally nice people when I spoke to them. So, yet again, who's the core of this problem?
At me. So they're not laughing with me. These are people who are here just to deride me and laugh at me, okay?
That's incorrect, Overlord O'Hara. He said, by that logic, no one's allowed to make a name off of video games. Wrong. I paid a license fee to play this game. Therefore,
Stop.
I can use...
You paid a licensing fee to play this game. You ready for me to break that down on you? Actually, you know what? I'm going to give you a few more seconds to snort, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut you up, alright? We're going to do that.
This game to make creative content. This could be my background while I interact with all of you tonight on stream. This guy restreaming me illegally did not pay me licensing rights, did not do anything and got any permission to restream me at all. But per my legal research on the subject, I actually discovered that Let's Plays are not a violation of copyright law as long as there is live commentary or criticism, which basically turns the footage into a transformative work that is protected under U.S. fair use law. True, if all that I was uploading was raw footage with no commentary or review, then it would not be protected. But I actually filmed everything with a camera, not direct feed, and I always...
Which is the reason why he never went to direct feed when he was asked to. That's the reason why he waited so long. Because he thought that if he went to direct feed like everybody else, they were all going to get taken down because that wasn't considered transformative work. The reason why that is because his dumb ass didn't read the rest of the fucking paragraph where all of that was spoken. I can't remember who I was talking to on Twitter about that, but they basically broke all that down. So that's the reason why Phil didn't go to direct capture. Oh, and he thought it was too hard. He saw all these people doing direct capture in different ways, and he was looking for the easiest way to do it. And because he didn't understand what it was or how to exactly do it, and he wasn't willing to listen to the people who were trying to explain to him how to do it and what he needed, he just completely ignored it altogether and kept going with the guerrilla tactic.
Live running commentary on everything that I do, which would protect it under the U.S. fair use law. I actually specifically brought up this question with my contact at Blip, and he advised that as long as I added something to the raw footage to make it my own, and it would make it a transformative work, that I was in the clear. And he's making bank on...
So, with that being said, Phil, what makes that any different from what you do? That's what makes it transformative. That's what makes it fair use. And you sitting there mindlessly looking at your screen, looking at your TV and snorting every once in a while, and then talking to the people in chat isn't considered transformative. That's kind of the first thing. Secondly, you didn't pay a licensing fee. You just bought the game. Period. You just bought the game. If you had a licensing fee, if you actually paid a licensing fee to the developer or to the publisher of that game, you'd be able to play the music you'd be able to play the music without worrying about copyright. Because theoretically, you bought into the license. You didn't actually buy the license, but you would have bought into it. So there would have been you would have had certain concessions labeled off to you. But don't you mute the music for shit on games? Just out of curiosity? Because you said they're going to get claimed? But you bought a licensing, though. You could theoretically take that to court and say that, hey, I bought a license to this, so theoretically, the image, gameplay, and sound that the game produces, I paid a licensing fee for, so by proxy, I have rights to go ahead and publish that as part of my transformative content. But you don't do that, do you? So then you really didn't buy the license, did you? You just bought a fucking game. And you're lucky. You're fucking lucky that they gave you platforms that you could play on it and make money off. Because, ladies and gentlemen, despite what this idiot says, none of us theoretically should have a right to play video games online. Or play video games and... how do I word this? We shouldn't have the right to play games online for profit. We really don't have a right for that. That's something that game companies allow us to do. And even amongst the gaming industry, there are still companies that want to actually cut in and get their piece. Some of them have. The backlash has been a lot. Some of them don't like it. Some of them don't care. Some of them are like, fuck it, it's free publicity, and let's just look at it that way. But if they actually formed a coalition and were like, you know what? We're done. No more of that YouTube shit. No more of that Twitch shit. They're not going to sit there and play games on us. Now, everybody who actually buys our game, they have to buy an additional licensing fee. And then actually on top of that, they have to buy one for every platform that they try to play it on. Mixer, Hitbox, if that even still exists, YouTube, Twitch, tournament. They got to give us tournament fees. They got to do all that. Watch how quickly all that shit dries up. Watch how quickly all that shit dries up. Shit, Dragon Ball FighterZ has this thing where you have to register your tournament onto their official website so they don't actually end up taking you down. Now, what is it that Dragon Ball FighterZ or Namco Bandai is trying to pull, or what they're thinking? We don't know yet. But if you're watching that closely, there's obviously something up that they're trying to I wouldn't say weasel, that they're trying to move themselves into position for. No one really knows what that is yet. And it's similar to what Activision tried to do many years ago with MLG during early Call of Duty terms and shit. Phil is lucky. Anybody who plays video games online is lucky that they allow you to do this, because they don't have to. So for Phil to turn around and say he doesn't pay me a licensing fee, he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that, is stupidity. He should be so glad that someone's willing to take your useless content and flip it into something. He should be so glad. DSP News.
Of something he's stealing. That is criminal. Versus actually getting permission or whatever, which he's not doing.
You mean it wasn't stealing when you were with Machinima and you were stealing and you were basically making money off Nintendo when you shouldn't have? Oh, it wasn't stealing then, was it? Oh, because you had a partnership, you had a managed partnership that was helping you in the heist. Everything was all gravy there. But it's stealing what Tevin's doing now. Fuck out of here.
I paid for the right to use this game in my video. He did not pay a damn thing. He's a thief.
Oh my God. Try to do this a little bit. Oh God.
And Valentine took me $5 and says, I agree that publishers giving influencers special treatment. It reminds me of when Bethesda gave influencers special premium canvas bags for Fallout 76, but then customers who paid $200 got shitty nylon bags. Yeah, I'm telling you, these influencer stuff is it's a plague on the gaming fucking community. It's a plague on gaming in general. We shouldn't be giving preferential treatment to people because they have a following. They shouldn't be playing the games early. This is horseshit. And what
Alright, fuck you. So, when you were with Machinima, right, and they were giving you free games, because not everybody on Machinima got free games. You know what I'm saying? Partners did, but not everybody else did. How was that not any different from what you're talking about now? Weren't you, in your own words, recently saying that you were an influencer of some type? At the end of the day, you're always going to have people who are more popular than others. And by proxy, they're going to get concessions that other people aren't. It's kind of like the same thing with celebrities. It is what it is. What did you contribute to the gaming industry, Phil? Tell me that. What did you help develop? What did you help push forward? Now, I remember you said something about some type of situation or some type of law that was going to be passed about gaming X amount of years ago, so on and so forth. I don't know why you believe that you're the biggest part of that, because you're not. To be honest with you, there were other people who were doing it too. So I don't understand why you thought you were actually carrying the fight. Maybe that's what hurt your back, but you really weren't. You were a small part in a much bigger machine. Sorry. I'm sorry that none of the other dick suckers over there won't tell you the truth, but you weren't the one that was pushing that movement, Phil. You were a small part in that. There were other people who were working on it too, which means you don't get all the credit. Sorry. I don't really give a fuck if I disappoint you, but I don't mean to disappoint you. But other than that, what did you contribute to the gaming industry, Phil? I'll give you that one off the bat. I'll give you that one off the bat, just off the sake of pity. But I'm still going to tell you the truth about it. What else did you do for the gaming industry, Phil? What else did you provide? You threatening game publishers, telling them that they were shit and whatever? You wanted to boycott games? Oh, talking about de-jawing fucking game writers? Calling other YouTubers / influencers, saying that they were getting gangbanged into the executive boarding office. Sorry, executive meetings, meeting rooms and shit by executives. What did you actually contribute to anything? Oh, you being real and honest? Nah, you were being negative and stupid. That's why you can't get sponsorship for shit. That's why no companies really want to reach out to you. That's why you're looked at as a stain on the gaming industry that they would try. If they actually took a second to actually wipe your ass away, you wouldn't actually be on Twitch anymore. That's the reason why. That's what you are. You never did a goddamn thing in your life that was worth anything. That's why you're at where you're at now. If that was the case, Phil, you have a degree, right? And you used it for nothing. Now, don't get me wrong. There are plenty of people who get degrees and use it for nothing. But you sit there and model yourself off this business degree that you have, and you know how the business works, this, that, and the third. Despite the fact that over and over and over again, it's proven that you don't know how business works. You don't have a fucking clue. So tell me yet again, Phil, what did you do? How did you go ahead and what did you contribute to the gaming industry? Go ahead, I'll wait. Give me something. Something worthwhile. You can't. That's why you look the way you look right now. You're a piece of shit that got lucky. You were a piece of shit that got lucky. You had a bunch of other people who followed you who either A, thought you were mildly entertaining, or B, believed into your fucking hype. The same hype that you get mad about for PewDiePie, Markiplier, Ninja, and so on and so forth. You were a negative piece of shit from the hop. So how the fuck does a negative piece of shit have the nerve to demand positivity around him when all you do is spew negativity? How does that work? Explain that to me. Tell me what your life's like. Tell me how your business works. And then you wonder why you're failing. Oh, well, you don't wonder why you're failing. You just blame everybody else for your failure. When it was all squarely on you. You were going to fail from the beginning. What you have can't be sustained unless you are willing to change. And you can still be a negative piece of shit, but you have to still change. And you couldn't even figure that out. It took a whole group that sat there and used you as their whipping bitch and made, what, $10,000+ on you. And what the situation was with that money is still up for debate. To go ahead and build wells in Africa so they could get themselves a nice little plaque stone or whatever the case may be. So that's how you got used there. Machinima used you from the hop and then overpaid you and then cut your money back, right? While you were still making them the same amount. Well, that's not true. You were in a decline. But they overpaid you, then cut you back, and then convinced you that, hey, we're going to have to give you a pay cut, Phil. You know, sorry about that. But we're going to give you a couple of free games. How about that? And you thought that was a good deal. You signed over your livelihood for free games. Now, granted, it's possible that you broke even either which way because... No, actually you didn't. You did get ripped off. Because despite the amount of content that Phil was putting out at that time, they've already cut his pay. So basically, they gave you free games to be like, why don't you go ahead and work twice as hard now for us to get the same little bit of money? So they did really fuck you on that games thing. I was kind of debating that back and forth in my own head for a little bit. But damn, they really hoard you out on that. Oh, wow. All right, let's move past that. And then let's talk about the mods that you have that use you for clout. Everybody over there who is a mod, except for maybe 2 people, use you strictly for clout, which is odd because it's not like you have any influence anyway. You're literally at the whim of the very people that supposedly look up to you. If the people looked up to you and they believed the bullshit that you spew at them, why wouldn't they help you? Why is it that there was always some type of financial crisis that has to come up so people can come out and support you? Or drama. And even then, with the drama's not even paying off the way it used to. But it's all Tevin's fault though, right? It's all Tevin's fault though, right? That's how all this works? Oh, shit, Phil. Oh my god. Now, Phil, I wasn't going to say this because it's kind of an asshole-ish thing to type of say. It's a very asshole-ish thing to say. You know what I'm saying? I never want to assume what a parent's intention is about their kid. But since people are talking about your head and shit and how flat it is and whatnot, and, you know, the fact that your mom's a frequent smoker and she may have actually smoked and drank while she was pregnant with you, right? How does it feel, if all that's true, how does it feel coming into the world unwanted? How does that feel? Can you tell me? Because from what I see, right, it makes me believe wholeheartedly that that's the reason why you are the way you are now. You had 2 parents that were at each other's throat on a regular basis on the mistake that neither one of them could correct. And then they had to look at you every day. So let's talk about that for a second, Phil. I really shouldn't, to be honest, because it is actually rather harsh. But knowing off that, like I said, if that all of that previous stuff is true, your parents you basically were the result of child neglect and whatnot, and abuse theoretically from the very beginning, from the point that they knew that they were pregnant with you. How does it feel to come into a world where you're just as unwanted as you were by your own parents? Could you tell me that? Could you give me an idea of what that feels like? And because of that, it's the reason why you treat people the way you treat them. See, the argument of nature and nurture is something that I want to talk to Declan Reed and Agent Proper about, which I will eventually. If I can get LSB in there too, I think that'd be a good point of conversation. But and James Lester, obviously. But how does it feel, Phil, to treat everybody like a bit of a disposable commodity, because they really have no self-worth? They have nothing to you except for what they can do for you. And so, by proxy, that's something that you learned. And I believe you learned that early. So back when you said that your parents were having marital problems, and they were using you in their conversations to put you in the middle of it, this, that, and the third, what if, Phil, they were arguing about you? They were arguing that they never really wanted you in the first place, and you heard that, hence the disdain that you have for your parents. But you had to flip it, though, to make it sound like, oh, they were using me as a pawn in their game, when in actuality, they never wanted anything to do with the board. Something to think about.
Creates artificial height for games, but that don't fucking deserve it.
Do you show your toxic jealousy and just how petty you fucking are when you react to something like that?
And sadly it equates to sales, but what it is, it's horseshit. It's fucking dishonest garbage, and it shouldn't be allowed. It should be fucking illegal in my opinion.
Designated hitter.
No, Victoria Gold, I don't see myself as an influencer. I don't. I see myself as a
disgusting beggar. Oh yeah, Phil's an e-beggar. Phil's just one of the worst e-beggars. Phil's always been a beggar.
Normal dude. A normal guy who plays games and has fun, and you guys make your judgments based off of my experience with the game.
How much fun are you having right now, Phil? I'm gonna try to lighten up the mood because I went pretty hard at you there. How much fun are you really having? Like, you always say playing games and having fun. You barely play a game, And where's the fun in it? The only fun that you really have playing video games is usually games that are bringing you a bunch of money, which means that you're not actually playing the game because it's fun. You're just playing it because of the amount of money that you're getting. Or Street Fighter. That's it. Which is funny because you talk shit about people who only play fighting games and how they're all one-trick ponies and eventually they're going to fade out, despite the fact that that's the only thing that really brings you joy in the world. Imagine that.
But my experience is honest. I'm not getting paid to play a game early. I'm not getting preferential treatment and being special.
That's your own fault, though. You can't sit. It's not like. When we get to that 7 years of slander, I'm gonna. Oh, dude, I'm gonna end up ripping you apart. When, as it pertains to you're not getting sponsorships, you're not getting paid to play games, this, that, and the third, you fucked that up. It's because you can't do those things. Just like how Phil likes to stand on, oh, I did this for 3 or 4 years. I think it's 3. I did this for 3 or 4 years without getting paid for it. You couldn't get paid for it. No one could. And that's why you didn't. So that's not something to hold your hat on. Or it's not something to prop up your gouty leg. Get this man some cherry juice, please. That's not how that works. You're cut off from these avenues by your own doing. That's why you're stuck where you're at. You can't sit there and use that as a caveat to be like, oh, hey guys, I don't do that shit. I don't like it. I don't believe in it, so I don't do it. You were saying that same shit back when the sponsorships were being introduced to Twitch, and you were you literally jumped on that shit the moment you could. You did it twice. Once, I don't think you got paid, and the second time you got paid, and then you realize that, you know, I can't do this anymore because it's going to get fucked up for me. So almost every chance you get to try to make some extra money, as slimeball as you say it is, no matter what the practice, you still try to participate in it. Does that not make you a hypocrite?
Who gets patted on the back and gets his ass kissed. It's like here's an example. All right, Angry Joe, years ago, got sent to Europe to cover the development and promotion of Witcher 3. So when Witcher 3 came out, he said, like, best game ever, 10 out of 10. Now, how can anyone believe Angry Joe when he says 10 out of 10 for a game where he literally got his ass kissed? He got flown out to Europe. Right?
All right, so let's break this down. Oh, boy. Since Phil gets all of his information off Twitter and he don't read nothing else, let's talk a little bit. Bringing up Angry Joe is kind of a moot point. Joe's been flown out to a bunch of different places. Joe has been given, if I had to surmise, he's been given more money and products and actual physical cash itself in plane trips and hotel stays that would beat out anything and everything that Phil's made in his career. Like, you got to understand, Angry Joe has so many game towers that he was literally giving them away. He has so many extra consoles that he was literally giving them away. He has so many pictures of different trips and stuff to places that Phil has never seen, can't spell, and don't even know where they're at, that it would blow Phil's mind. This was one of the things about doing business. He went out there and he saw the game from development and he liked what he saw. That is his opinion. See, Phil, this is the problem that you seem to have. And the thing is, actually, before I even get to cutting you up, let's go ahead and light the pan back up again. He's one of many. The Call of Duty community, for example, is one of the best examples. Let me explain. So they have a new game coming out in development. I'm actually going to do a video on it. And I don't usually go over game videos like that, but I'm going to do one because I feel the need to. It's important. It's not important. I'm going to do it anyway. And they flew out a bunch of YouTubers, pro game players, all of this out to, I don't know, I think somewhere in California, to go ahead and test all this. Now, they do this every year. They do this a couple of times a year. Where's your say-so on that? Okay, you want another one, another example, Phil? I'll give you one. Madden. NBA 2K. Almost every game that comes out that's part of a franchise, especially a long-term one, flies out influencers, pro players, or whatever the case may be, to come out and test their games and see the development of them, to get feedback. They're not paying you through the trip, if you will. They're paying you for your opinion and insight on their games. For example, if I was playing Call of Duty for, I don't know, the last 5 years on YouTube and I was able to amass a following doing it, I would get flown out. Now, there are exceptions to that. Someone that I like to name, someone's content that I like, and I've brought up a couple times, 402 Thunder. He hasn't been flown out to any events. He doesn't get any special treatment. He doesn't do any of those things. Now, there's a reason why for that. And I love you, Thunder, but I'm gonna have to. I gotta come out and say it because it's true, and that's the reason why people like me respect you. 402 Thunder used to call the game the way he saw it. If the game was bad, if there was features in the game that was bad, he called it out and he explained it. And he would do it early. Now, his channel isn't a hate channel. It isn't pure negativity, autism like our boy Phil here, or even my channel to some extent. He just called the game the way he called it. If it was bad, it was bad, and if it was good, it was good. He still played it. But if it was bad, it was bad, and if it was good, it was good. The problem is he rubbed people the wrong way. Well, he rubbed actually 2 people the wrong way. The problem is those 2 people were somebodies. And they basically held a vendetta against him for the last, I don't know. I couldn't, even before I even started watching YouTube. It is what it is. It was the price to be paid. So yes, he doesn't have the advantages of going to see Call of Duty in development, to get the play tested, to go off to the trips and make 20,000 or 30,000 and say that the game is good and all that bullshit. But he went ahead and what's the word? He amassed a following that respect him for telling the game how it is because he's saying exactly how they feel. That was the trade-off. Now, in his older years, he's not happy with the fact that he didn't get the advantages that other people did. But he understands. You, Phil, on the other hand, are almost oblivious to what your situation is. You put yourself in this situation on purpose. You wanted to be the realest dude on YouTube. That means you take everything, win, loss, or draw. But now, all of a sudden, as you've gotten older, you want certain concessions. You want to be treated a certain type of way. You want to be accommodated to. You want accommodations, sorry. And none of that's there. You were a negative piece of shit when you walked into this. You'll be a negative piece of shit when they walk you out. There is no getting around that. There's nothing special about you. You didn't make any decisions. The reason why you can't get that money is because all those avenues have been closed to you. Whether by your own accord because you're scared that people are going to fuck it up, or because they're just not available to you. Period. And your fan base is starting to realize that. You're a sinking ship that's already halfway under. And there's really no point in trying to save you. And you know it. And if Kat is pregnant, you're going to be in a whole world of hurt. You can't keep coming on stream and say, please help. You're not going to be able to pull a Biblical Reaper and bring your daughter, I think that was his daughter, bring your daughter on your video and cry and say, we really need help. You're not going to do that. You're not going to do that. You better not do that. Because I will headhunt you for that one. Using kids to drum up sympathy is something that I hate it, actually. It's a really despicable thing to do. As a parent, you should be doing everything in your power to provide for your children. Period. You don't exploit them. But you're just the type of piece of shit to do that, aren't you, Phil? Aren't you? But we'll see when we cross that bridge. For your sake, you better hope Kat's not pregnant. You better hope she's not. Because if you think life is hard for you now, it's going to be a whole lot harder when you have to actually do shit on your own. Which, one more thing before we go ahead and carry on this. So, one of the reasons why I haven't gone over the actual full hour and 40 plus minutes of Phil's 7-year slander is I've been looking back into Kat's, Panda's videos and shit because I'm looking for a couple of key things. And I found a little smidgen about a friend that she had who was talking about wanting to have kids with her and so on and so forth. She sounded quite jolly about the situation. And she brought up to Phil the idea of having kids, and she said that he was terrified. He was absolutely terrified of the idea of having children. Now, this was back when him and Panda weren't even, they were almost a year within their relationship. Almost a year in, and he was already scared of the idea of having kids. It's gonna be some fuckboy shit if Kat turns out to be pregnant. You're really not gonna make it.
He had a whole big, deal there, promotional thing, right?
I mean, I'll be honest, just like any other normal human, yes, am I jealous of certain people and of people who are successful and whatever? Of course I am. Of course I'm going to have jealousy. That's a natural human emotion for those who have more than you. You're always going to have that natural kind of jealousy of those who maybe have, been more successful or things like that.
Now, the bottom line is, Witcher 3 is an outstanding game. But in that situation, can you really trust a 10 out of 10 score? You know what I mean? Was his opinion overly based on the fact that he was basically treated like a royalty to go out there and have this game promoted for him? You see what I mean? If you get a game early, by a week before anyone else can play it, and by the way, you're not allowed to speak honestly about the game, because these influencers a lot of the times are under not non-disclosure agreements, not review agreement. There's an agreement where basically you can't review a game until a certain date, so they're allowed to stream the games.
An embargo? I think is what he's trying to say. I think.
You are not allowed to give your opinion on the game. You can play it and commentate over the gameplay, but you can't give your opinion on the game because it's not the review. That's it, the review embargo. The review embargo hasn't lifted yet, so you can't actually officially review the game live or anything like that. So they're playing the game early. They literally can't say anything negative about the game.
No, you're missing the point. They can't. It's not about. Why do you assume that everybody's going to say something negative about it? I can say that. Okay, I like the game so far, but in this part right here, it's a little bit shaky for whatever reason. Like the camera angle isn't the greatest, or so on and so forth. That's a critique. That's not necessarily negative. It's a critique. It's like, hey, that's not a very good. I don't like that angle right there. Why do you assume that everything about games have to be negative? And in turn, did you not ever think that that's the reason why people don't want to do business with you? And that's the thing he always talks about when it comes to these people who get games early and they can't give their honest opinion. And this goes back to this crazy notion that Phil has that everybody thinks the way he does, and every game has to have a negative aspect to it. And he wonders why he doesn't get opportunities. He wonders why people don't respect him. He wonders why most people won't even give him a look. Hence the reason why he was so excited over this Pro Jarrett shit. But it wasn't even a look. You were just one of a bunch of other people who took some shots at him. You weren't even the biggest tweet on Pro Jarrett. But a win's a win though, right, Phil?
And interact with their audience. So it's free promotion. They're getting paid to play the game. It's literally a paid advertisement. But people look at those streams instead of paid advertisement.
It's not an advertisement though. Because if it was, what does an advertisement do, Phil? An advertisement entices people to fucking go out and buy a game. Or to buy a car. Or buy this and buy that. And how do you do that, Phil? You be positive about what it is. You be overly positive on... Let's reword that. An advertisement, in general, is to entice an individual to buy something. Let me go ahead now. Let me add to that. What is a paid advertisement? It's to convince a person that it's to convince a person to convince other people that this is so good that they have to get it. They need this. Now, let's go back to your point, Phil. You said that they can't give an opinion on the game. They sit there, they play the game early, the company gets free advertisement off of it, the person gets paid, and there's no honest opinion. Or there's no opinion at all. So how is it a paid advertisement? How does that work exactly? The advertisement itself, if you will, at its base, is that, hey, this is what the game is, and this is what the game does. And a person's paid for it. What you're trying to say, Phil, is that these people are talking the game up and trying to convince other people to buy it and that it's the best game out there. But how do they do that, Phil, if they can't give their honest opinion or, as you just said, can't give an opinion on it at all? All they have to do is sit there. All they can do is just sit there and play the game. You see how you ain't just fucked yourself on that. And people have called you out on that before. Phil, you better hope things don't get so bad that you're forced to go on a podcast and talk to somebody. Because you really don't want to get on a podcast and talk to me, dude. You really don't. You really don't. I will take the time out of my day, out of my week, to rip you fucking apart live. You don't want that. You don't want that from anybody. You really don't. There are smaller content creators that I know that would end up eating you alive. And it would be great. But you better not do another podcast again, Phil. And if you do, you better hope I don't ever get on that podcast. For all I want is 15 minutes. That's all I want is 15 minutes. To take what little of your soul is left. That's all I want. Because there's not much there and it's not really worth much anyway. So I'll probably end up giving it back. Like, how stupid are you, Phil? How stupid are you? At the end of the day, Phil, I can see why Tevin used to get so frustrated with this shit. The reason, at the end of the, god damn it, Phil. At the end of the day, Phil, the customer is the one that has to make the choice. It doesn't, the influencer, the fucking, the YouTuber, the Twitch streamer is incidental. They're there to show off a product. If they can't say anything about it, then they can't say anything about it. You sit there, you watch the game. If you like it, you like it. You don't, you don't. Theoretically, you're insulting the actual audience, the actual potential buyers, because you're calling them all sheep, if you think about it. And maybe they are sheep. But you don't tell them that. You don't tell potential customers that they're being sheep. You're a fucking moron. That's one of the first things in business that they teach you. Is that the customer's always right. You have to convince the customer that whatever it is that you want them to buy, they need it. You know how that works, Phil, because you try to convince people that, oh, if Darkside Phil leaves the internet, then I'm going to be gone, and then what are you guys going to do then? Why do you think that practice still endures in the fucking gaming industry? It's not going anywhere because it's made a place for itself. This is the price of doing business. Okay. Let's go.
Oh, this is legit gameplay. And then they go and watch people play these games early and people go buy the game and the game sucks ass. Oh, well, the streamer would have told you the game sucked ass, but they weren't allowed to contractually because they were getting big bang. So how is that allowed? That's fucking so dishonest and fucking immoral in my opinion. Pizza, just send me $1. Listen to this. He says it's an undisclosed wink-wink agreement to not slander their game when you get a game early like that, an influencer. By treating them like royalty, it's what lobbyists do to politicians to pass laws to benefit them. And that's actually, Pizza, as much as that sounds like a conspiracy theory, that's actually how the United States government works. Lobbyists pay politicians to give them the attention and laws that allow their businesses to thrive. That's how our government works. And that's how these influencers are now working. And that's why I don't support it. I don't support that in government. I don't support that in games. I want it to be legitimate.
Wait. First off, that is how it works. I mean, it's at least part of it anyway, but that is how that works, yeah. That's not a conspiracy theory, nor does it sound like one. It's been like that. It's been like that for a long-ass time, Phil. It'll always be that way, to be honest. 2, you don't vote. So who gives a fuck about what you think about government in general? You don't vote. So who gives a fuck about what you have to say about a goddamn thing? You don't vote. So your opinion doesn't matter to anybody. You want to know why it doesn't? Because it didn't matter to you. Because you were too lazy to get up off your fucking ass and go and vote. Dspnews?
People that actually have to line up and pay for a fucking game and play at the same time as everyone else. No one gets preferential.
No one has to. First off, no one's forced to go out and buy a game. Why do you assume every new game that comes out, people are forced to go and get it? They don't have to. That's the reason. If anything else, Phil, that's why you should be glad that there are people who play games early. Because it helps people determine whether, do I want to just sit here and watch this game being played and be entertained, or do I actually want to go out and get it myself? Or just wait for a price drop? Do you not understand how that's part of the industry? That's what the industry is built around. Whether you consider it transparent or not, or whether you consider it honest or moral, like you know anything about any of those words anyway, means nothing. That's how it works. No one's forcing you to go and buy the game. If someone comes, okay, for example, I haven't done a bad example in a little while now, or maybe I have and I just haven't noticed it. If someone comes to me and is like, okay, GTG, man, you know what? Your audio quality is shit. We love you, man, but your audio quality is shit, which is true. So we got this brand new mic, man. We want you to test it out. We want you to do a review over it, man. Tell us what you think. All right, fair enough. So then I do one. Okay? And now, whether they ask me to be positive or negative about it or not, that's something that I'm going to have to hash out with them. But to be perfectly honest with you, it doesn't necessarily even matter what I think about that. It's what you in the audience think about it. Does it sound better? Do you actually, what do you guys think about the actual features itself and what it provides? Because I have to give all that, I'm going to give you all that information, not just in the video, but obviously send you a link to the website or whatever. At the end of the day, the power relies in the audience to go ahead and spend their money on this, or if they feel that it's worthwhile. I would hope anything that I advertise, you're buying it because it can be useful to you, or you think that you need it at least at that moment or something. Don't buy it on my merit. Buy it because you think that you can actually use it, or you actually need one, or whatever the case may be. That's what it comes down to. So the buying power of the actual customer is still in their hands. Like, how is this hard to figure out? I watch fucking bigger YouTubers advertise shit all the time, and I don't buy none of it because I don't need it. As good as it might sound, I don't need it, so I don't buy it.
Plays it early. Why do you think, honestly, I lost a lot of prominence on YouTube?
A toxic dog bugs the been under. You know that you're toxic. Ow. Taste on your lips is paradise. But I know that you're toxic. Unleash the beast. Toxic. Oh.
There's various reasons, but one of them is I used to be the guy. At midnight, I would go to GameStop, line up, buy the game, come home, play it immediately, and get that footage up on the internet.
But I'm not a special priority influencer. Ah, the salty tears.
Who gets the game a week early? So now, I used to be Joe Nobody, Joe Schmo, average gamer, doing that and putting that out as a service to you. Now there's fucking full playthroughs out a week early. And how is that? It doesn't make any sense, you know? It's fucking fucked up. These people are doing it and they're doing paid advertisements and idiots watch that shit. And not only do the idiots...
That's what fucks him up too, is it's bad enough that you're already implying, if not outright calling people sheep, right? In the audience or in the or potential customers or so on and so forth. But then you insult them too because you feel like they're really beneath you because they can't see what you see. That's one of the real reasons why he doesn't have, not that he ever had prominence, but he's not relevant, if you will.
Watch that shit and think it's legitimate gameplay, then they give those people money. Oh, here's a stream, a game early. Oh, he'll throw money on the stream. Are you a fucking idiot? They're already getting paid for that, and now you're giving them additional money. I mean, it's like stupidity on top of fucking stupidity.
How you figure? I don't give a shit if they're getting paid for it or not. I'm throwing my money at them because I appreciate what they do. I don't care if they're getting paid on the back end of that. That doesn't mean anything. You're getting paid to play a video game. You're on a platform that you actually can make money off of, despite the fact that you don't roll. He doesn't. I personally don't think he actually puts enough ads up, but that's just me though. He may not have very good ads. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. But you're already on a platform where you're getting money. Or let's go here. Let me go ahead and delve into that a little further. Let's go back to Patreon. Why the fuck does anybody have to pay you on Patreon to play a game that you're going to make money off of YouTube and Twitch for anyway? Same difference if you ask me. The situation might be slightly different, but the scenario kind of still plays itself out. Kind of, sort of.
Views, day one inflated views, make the money. Wah, I'm not making ad revenue. Wah. Like I am a nasty or toxic person all the time. Phil is a toxic, nasty person all the time. There's no actual positive value in anything he does. Yep, I'm toxic. From what I'm to understand, the meme originated in one of my runs through like Dark Souls where I got toxic during the game, and I yelled out, "Why am I toxic?" Because I was so frustrated of why I was getting turned toxic and dying from it. And then people took that audio clip and turned it into like, you know, oh, Phil's a toxic person. Look, his streams are toxic and he's toxic. What pasta do you prefer? I prefer a penne. Oh, easy to eat. Oh, Phil's a faggot. Phil's fat. Phil's a loser. Phil's a beggar. Phil's a racist. Phil's a scammer. DSP's a pedophile. DSP is a thief. DSP is a greedy fuck.
This guy's a bitch.
I have a micro penis.
Oh boy, that went a little longer than I thought it would, to be honest with you. Oh shit. Yeah, that went a little longer than I thought it would. That really did. That really put me in a very interesting spot. I gotta tell you, that was something. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So, oh, you know what? Actually, we're not done yet. I've been a very, very bad pup. I am very sorry, guys. I've got a bonus for you. Holy shit. I was too busy going at his neck that I actually have one more thing for you. I'm sorry. We're not done yet, ladies and gentlemen. We're not done yet. Let me actually explain what you're about to watch. So, multiple people on Twitter actually took clips from one of Phil's MLB streams, MLB The Show, and I was able to, and I have them all on screen, and I was able to, well, I will in a minute, and I was able to put all of that together into a bit of a collage of Phil basically professing his love-hate boner for Tevin. I'm glad I didn't end this broadcast yet. So let me actually put that up for you guys. Give me just a second.
Oh, what's Tevin's Twitch? It's called Banned. That's the name of his Twitch. Twitch.tv/ban the fuck from this website because I'm a loser. That's the name of his Twitch. You can talk crap about Tevin all you want, but he gave away a $100 gift card and you only give away empty game boxes. Oh, so let's forget the fact that I gave away a PlayStation 4 at launch, that I gave away ridiculous amounts of video games over the years, that I gave away all kinds of collectibles, that I gave away game codes, that I gave away Xbox Live passes, you know, probably thousands and thousands of dollars of stuff that I gave away, but because one time ever I gave away an empty game box, somehow that becomes synonymous. It's the only thing I ever gave away. All you've done is proven you're a fucking moron because you ignore 11 years of facts to focus in on one instance to make a joke. By the way, the empty game box I gave away was all the collector's edition content of Deus Ex Human Revolution with my autograph on it because people wanted it, and hundreds of people signed up to try to win that because they wanted a nice collectible with my autograph on it. My autograph alone, to some people, is worth more than anything that Tevin will ever do in his entire fucking life, so choke on that, bitch. Oh, I think that's why the dude you mentioned earlier streams your stuff to get clout? Well, that's how it originally got noticed, and now, of course, now he has a following because he does it so much, he gets a following. Now, here's the thing. If this guy would just do his own content and get popular off of it, I don't care. But the fact is, he made a name on me. He literally needs me as a crutch. When he does his own stuff, sometimes he gets attention, sometimes he doesn't. But when he makes fun of me, all of a sudden he gets a boost in views. So he needs me to be successful. I would love it if this guy would go off and do his own shit and be successful. I would be happy for him if he went off and did his own shit and was successful. That would prove that he has talent and he has charisma and he has something going for his own. But he doesn't do that. He always goes back to the old tried and true, make fun of Phil, because this is what makes bank for me and this is what's guaranteed to work, because you need me. You need me as your component for success. You can't do it on your own, then you're not successful at all. And the only reason you exist is because YouTube allows you to do immoral, illegal things. Twitch does not. And that's why you're not here anymore. Okay. That's incorrect, Overlord Roharu. He said, by that logic, no one's allowed to make a name off of video games. Wrong. I paid a license fee to play this game. Therefore, I can use this game to make creative content. This could be my background while I interact with all of you tonight on stream. This guy restreaming me illegally did not pay me licensing rights, did not do anything and get any permission to restream me at all. And he's making bank off of something he's stealing. That is criminal versus actually getting permission or whatever, which he's not doing. I paid for the right to use this game in my video. He did not pay a damn thing. He's a thief. Oh my God, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my God, no, we gotta stop the stream. I just received a $1 tip from an anonymous tipper, and they just informed me that almighty Tevin is watching my stream right now and talking crap about me. Ah! Ah! Who cares? Who gives a shit? Oh my God. Like anyone gives a flaming fuck about that loser. My autograph alone to some people is worth more than anything that Tevin will ever do in his entire fucking life. So choke on that, bitch.
It's an angry pig there, gotta tell you. Very angry pig. Anyway. Oh, so amusing. So amusing. Alright, guys. So, like I said, that hate boner, or that love-hate boner that Phil has for Tevin is... It is what it is. The animosity is amazing. Because, eventually, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to eat him alive. The reason why is because he has nothing else. He has nothing else. The only thing he can do is hate Tevin, and that's all he has left. He doesn't have anything else. Shit, he pays more attention, if I had to surmise. He pays more attention to Tevin than he probably does his own wife. It is what it is, to be honest with you. And the reason why what allows me to come to that surmise is this is all he does. He doesn't have a job. He doesn't have friends. He doesn't have any hobbies. He won't leave his own house because he's scared. He doesn't have anything else in his life. This is all he's got. He doesn't even have somebody else on the phone that he can talk to. He's got nothing. He's got absolutely nothing. And at the end of Phil's story, he'll come to that realization. Or he'll blame just everybody else as usual. Whichever. But that's really what it comes down to. That's the reality. Is the guy has nothing. He really doesn't. He said that he worked so hard for 10 or 11 years to amass everything that he has. But in actuality, it's all an illusion. It's all an illusion. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening in. I know this was long and very rant-filled, but that hit me in that just hit me in a really bad... that just hit me in a really off way. So it is what it is with that. But anyway, thank you very much for listening in. I very much appreciate it. And the weekend continues to go on. So yay to that. Hope you guys take care of yourselves. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Snort Report, and this is DSP News. Always late, never breaking, unreliable coverage that you can't count on. A GTG Network Productions. I'm your host, /anchor, GTG, and I am signing off. Take care of yourself, guys. And the broadcast.